how to assess newborn reflexes. So let's get started. Newborn reflexes are reflexes that a newborn baby is born with. And the reason we care about newborn reflexes is because it tells us how well that nervous system is developing and functioning. These infant reflexes, also called primitive reflexes, will actually disappear over a certain time period, which is a good thing because it tells us again that this neurosystem is developing like it should. Therefore, for exams, you want to know three things. First, you want to know the names of the main reflexes that you're going to assess in a newborn. Second, you want to know how to get a response out of those reflexes and what an appropriate response should be. And then third, you want to know about the approximate time when these reflexes should disappear. So now let's look at these reflexes. The first reflexes we're going to look at are the grasp reflexes, and this includes the palmar and the plantar grasp reflex. So first, the palmar grasp. Palmar means we're talking about the hand. So this reflex deals with something with the hand. So you can get a response out of the infant whenever you place a finger or you stroke the inside of the infant's palm. And whenever you do this, the hand will close around it. This tends to disappear around about 4 to 6 months of age. Then we have the plantar grasp, and plantar deals with the foot. So you get a response from the infant with this whenever you place a finger underneath the toes. And whenever you do this, the toes will actually curl like they're grasping the finger. This disappears around about 9 months to 1 year of age. Next is the Moro reflex, and this is also sometimes called the startle reflex. So this is seen when an infant hears a sudden loud noise, they will do this reflex, or if they experience an unexpected movement, like if you go to lay them down and you lay them down where they're supine and you're supporting their head, and their head's just a little bit lower than their body, and you lay them down on a surface, they will do this reflex. So what it looks like is that the infant will throw out their arms, hence extend them, and the palms will be upward. Sometimes they'll move the arms back to the body after doing this, and they may even cry. And this reflex tends to disappear around about 6 months of age. Then we have the rooting reflex, and this is seen when the infant's cheek or side of mouth is stroked. The head will actually turn towards it, and the infant's mouth will open in an attempt to suck. So this reflex is really helpful in helping the baby find their food source when they want to feed. And it tends to disappear around about 4 months of age. Next is the sucking reflex, and just like the rooting reflex, the sucking reflex helps the baby feed. It's going to play a role with nutrition. So you will see this whenever something touches the top of the infant's mouth on the inside. It's specifically that hard palate of the mouth, so the roof of the mouth. The infant will actually automatically just start sucking. It's an involuntary thing that happens. So again, this helps the infant with feeding by allowing the infant to pull food from its food source, like the breast or a bottle. Now, this reflex tends to disappear at about 4 months, and it will actually become a voluntary function. Then there's the Babinski reflex, and this is seen when the bottom of the foot is stroked from the heel upward along the outward part of the foot. So what's going to happen with this, you will see the big toe dorsiflex, so it's going to bend backwards, and the other toes are going to fan out or spread out. And this is what you want to see in an infant. Now, in an adult, you do not want to see this response. I actually have a video where I show you what a normal and abnormal Babinski reflex is in an adult, and you can check that video out if you're interested. And this tends to disappear, this type of response, around about 1 year of age. The next is the crawling reflex, also sometimes called Bower crawling reflex. And how you get a response out of an infant with this is that you place them on their stomach and you apply pressure with your hand to the sole of the foot. So whenever you do this, the infant will attempt to push against that hand with their foot and move the arms and legs in a crawling-like motion. And this tends to disappear anywhere between a few weeks after birth to a couple months. Next is the step reflex, and just as the name of this reflex says, this deals with the infant taking steps. So this is seen whenever you hold the infant upright with the legs and the feet touching a surface. The infant will actually move the legs like they're taking steps or walking. And this tends to disappear anywhere between 3 to 4 months of age. And lastly, we have the tonic neck reflex, and this is sometimes referred to as the fencing reflex. And let that name fencing reflex help you, because it'll help you understand how this infant will look whenever this reflex is initiated, because fencing is a type of sport where people fight with swords. So the response is whenever an infant's head is turned to a particular side, the leg and arm on that side will extend while the leg and arm on the opposite side will flex, similar to how those people look whenever they're fencing. And this reflex tends to disappear at about 4 months of age.
So let's continue with the motor development. What is motor development? Motor development ni adalah apa? Development of the motor of the muscle lah kan? Bukan development of the muscle. Maksudnya apa? Pergerakan kan? Pergerakan. Motor development ataupun kita panggil, kalau in Malay pun kita panggil motor dia kan? Motor, ada motor kasar, which is gross motor development, dan juga motor halus kan? Motor halus, this more to the sensory kan? Okay, so the infant's ability to control voluntary muscle movement. That is the definition for the motor development. Okay, motor development means the development of the infant's ability to control voluntary muscle movement. Okay, so the development of muscle is top down. Okay, and top down, what does it mean? Top down means daripada atas ke bawah. Development dia tu berlaku atas, daripada atas, mula dari atas ke bawah. Which is head control is the start, and it comes lastly, and it will last with the development of the lower legs punya movement. Okay, and satu lagi adalah the development is from central to peripheral. Okay, central to peripheral. Yang mana kita sebagaimana apa it is indicated, yang mana kita tengok kan, infants will learn to control dia punya shoulder and arm dulu before the muscles in dia punya hands kan. Okay, so all these both of these development, okay, will influence the ability of an infant to feed later on. To feed. Macam sebagai contoh, sekiranya development tu berlaku dengan baik, okay, then bila at the age of between macam 2 to 4 months tu, mereka dah boleh dah see kan. Okay, kita akan tengok nanti dari segi apa namanya infant punya ni, okay, dari segi ketersediaan mereka untuk feeding, okay. And satu lagi yang dipengaruhi oleh ability of the infant tu, yang dipengaruhi oleh development of muscles ni adalah it also influence the amount of calories expended in the activity. Kan? Contohnya crawling infant expend more calories as compared to younger infant who cannot roll over. Okay. Okay. So there are two motor skills. Okay. Ada motor skills, gross motor skills, dan juga sensory punya motor skills. Okay. Motor kasar dan juga motor halus. Okay. Nampak ke illustration ni tak berapa nak jelas kan? Tak berapa jelas sangat lah. Boleh kot kan? Boleh nampak kan? Okay, we can see here. Okay, the motor gross skills ni, okay, there are different, perkembangan dia adalah different daripada satu masa ke semasa. Dan illustration ni dia menunjukkan perkembangan tu bermula daripada fetal posture, okay, which is at 0 months, mereka baru lahir, newborn tu, kan kita boleh tengok fetal posture. Fetal posture ni kalau you nampak lah dalam gambar tu, dia macam kalau kita letak je, telangkup kita letak macam tu kan. So tu adalah fetal posture. Ni pun kena tengok video juga baru nampak benda tu, boleh visualize. Okay, and then chin up. Kan, at 1 month, the babies tu dah boleh chin up. Chin up means bila kita letak kedudukannya kan, kita letak tiarapkan tu, mereka dah at 1 month, mereka boleh mengangkat chin dia. Kan? Okay. And then 2 months, chest up. Okay. Yang ni pun saya ada video satu saya nak show. Okay. Senang sikit daripada saya duk bagi tahu macam ni. Saya pun tak tahu you all nampak ke tak. Tapi for sure, saya rasa kalau you all tengok video tu lagi jelas lah. Okay. Okay, so saya akan share satu lagi video. Okay, dan I want you to pay attention. Okay, tengok betul-betul, buka telinga, dengar dan tengok. Sebab dia ada quizzes dia. Ada soalan lah, bukan quiz. Dia ada soalan-soalan dia. So, kita akan sama-sama jawab. Okay? Okay, nak buka pula ni. Alah, nanti. Saya nak besarkan dia tak jumpa. Ni besar. Okay. Okay, we'll start.
Today we're going to talk about the development of motor milestones in children birth to 24 months. This is a public service video for parents. We're going to go through the milestones to look for. We're going to look at what's going on behind the scenes in terms of the brain and the body that's allowing those milestones to occur. We're going to go through what a pediatrician may check for in the office. We'll also tie it up with some tips for you about things to bring to your pediatrician's attention. Babies are born ready to move. They come out and they're kicking and batting their arms. But somewhere between birth and 24 months, those random movements are going to turn into highly controlled and coordinated movements.
Okay, so the first question is, what happens between birth and 24 months? The first answer is random, right? Kenapa dia bagi jawapan terus? Alahai, bagi jawapan terus. Tak boleh ni. Okay, kenapa dia bagi jawapan? Okay, tak apa. So, what happens between birth and 24 months? Okay, random movements or highly coordinated and controlled movement. Of course lah kan, dia dah bagi jawapan kat sini pula dah. Okay, highly coordinated and controlled movements lah kan. Okay, tak apalah. Yang penting you all boleh dapatkan kena pay attention, dengar dulu lah, bukannya sekadar dapat jawapan terus kan. Saya tak tahu kenapa dia jadi keluar ni, tadi tak keluar. Okay, so continue.
How does that happen? Let's see. From the parent's point of view, we're going to look at head control, the milestone of birth to 4 months.
Okay, when does the milestone of head controls occur? Okay, between birth to 4 months. Okay ke macam ni? Saya macam tak best sebab dia keluar jawapan terus. Tapi kalau saya nak ni balik, ni dia punya setting balik, makan masa pula kan. So, we just go with it lah. Boleh Pak E semua? Boleh lah. Okay.
You bring your newborn baby home from the hospital and they can't control their head at all. You're aware you need to keep your hand behind their neck to help them with that endeavor. We can also look at how they develop head control by looking at how they do on their belly. A newborn can barely move their head side to side.
Okay. Newborn can barely lift their head to clear the floor. Is it false or true? True, kan? Betul. You tengok tadi kan? Okay, continue.
Side to side to clear the floor. By 1 month, they can get their head up 45 degrees. By 2...
Okay. So, by how much can infants lift the head up at 1 month? At 1 month, dia boleh head up at 45 degrees.
45 degrees.
45 degrees kan ni. Okay. And then continue.
By 2 to 3 months, they get their head up 90 degrees.
Then by 2 to 3 months dia boleh meningkat lagi kebolehan dia kan. Dah boleh lagi tinggi lah 90 degrees kan, 90 degrees. Okay.
And by 4 months, they've not only got their head up, they got their chest up, and they're
Okay. By 4 months, babies have the head and chest up. True. Kan? Okay, ingat. By 4 months, babies already able to have their head and chest up.
assume that classic puppy pose. What's going on behind the scenes? The newborn baby's movements are governed by these primitive reflexes. Principle number 1 is that primitive reflexes must resolve prior to attaining voluntary control over motor movements.
Okay, so why are reflexes important? Okay, jawapannya adalah because these reflexes are important because they lead to control motor movements. Okay, yang ni kalau tak ada involuntary tu betul lah, tapi sebab involuntary kan. Okay, so the answer dia adalah pertama ni.
What's going to go on at the doctor's visit? The doctor will look at those primitive reflexes and make sure that they are resolving as they should over those first few months. So, for example, the moro or startle reflex, the asymmetric tonic neck reflex, also called the fencing reflex, hand grasp, foot grasp, where the baby's hand or toes curl around an object. The doctor will also check the attainment of head control by something called the pull to sit maneuver.
Okay, next, so what does the pull to sit maneuver check for? Head control, right? Bila doktor dia check the reflexes by pulling the sit maneuver, they are actually checking for head control of the baby.
Baby is 4 to 7 months of age and now working on rolling over. When he was on his belly, he managed to get his head and his chest up. Now all it takes is a little bit of momentum and gravity, and he's going to go all the way over. How does baby learn to roll over? Baby needs time on his tummy on a firm surface. Principle number 2. Development is influenced by experience. From 6 to 9 months of age, baby is working on sitting.
Okay, at what month is baby working on sitting? Between 6 to 7 months. 6 to 7 months dia dah begins untuk untuk sit. Okay.
At 6 months, baby may sit briefly with a rounded back, leaning on his hands when he's placed by the parent, and then fall over. By 7 months, the baby can straighten his back somewhat and is relying less on his hands. Often by 8 months, those hands are available for play. The baby is now stable enough to maintain himself without that support. And at 9 months, the baby may be able to get himself into a sitting position from lying down. Behind the scenes, we're guided by principle number 3. Control is developed from the neck downward.
Okay, control is developed from the neck downward. Okay, which pattern of development from the textbook ataupun from does this best describe? This the pattern dia adalah head to foot lah, kan? Okay.
The doctor will look at your baby's progress towards sitting. Does he need to keep his legs wide apart to stabilize himself? He may push the baby over and look for the baby to put out an arm on either side to break his fall, a protective reflex called the lateral parachute. And what about standing? From 6 months, babies enjoy being held and supported standing. It's a whole new view of your work. Between 9 and 12 months, babies often will begin to pull themselves into a standing position.
Nine and 12 months.
Sorry. Bateri saya nak habis. Saya pergi ambil kat bawah dulu. Sorry, lama dah tunggu Sekejap Aduh. Nampak kerja ni. atas. Awak nak tak? Jangan dulu. Okey, selamat. Kalau tak nanti blackout. Okay, so between what months do babies pull themselves into a standing position? 9 to 12. Okay.
After that, they begin to take steps holding on, what we call cruising. And soon after that,
Okay, apakah cruising? Cruising is apa? Crawling fast or taking steps while holding on? Taking steps.
While holding on.
While holding on. Jawapan dah ada dah.
they will let go and begin to take steps with their parents' hand support. There's another principle at work here. Principle number 4. Postural protective reflexes precede the attainment of motor milestones. Baby's not going to be stable enough to walk until there's a backward parachute, until when pushed backward, the baby has developed this protective reflex to put his arms behind him and break his fall and protect his head. And what about crawling? Crawling is not generally considered a motor milestone because about 15% of typical children do not crawl. They go direct.
Okay, how many percentage yang children typically do not crawl? 15. Okay, 15% of children actually typically do not crawl. Ada yang, pernah tak? You pernah dengar siapa-siapa? Macam anak saudara saya ada seorang. Dia tak crawl, dia menghansut. Tak menghansut? Apa hansut? In English apa Entahlah. Hansut, menghansut. Okay.
Go directly from sitting to walking. But the majority of children do crawl, and there are a variety of crawling styles. The typical scenario is that baby starts off in sitting and in reaching for a toy, ends up on all fours, begins to rock, and may initially move backward before figuring out how to go forward. Most children begin to walk between 12 and 17 months. We all know the walk of a new walker. The legs are wide apart, the arms are up to help with their balance, and often they're not bending too much at the knees. Over the next few months, we'll see certain changes. The legs will come closer together, the arms will come down, and there'll be more bending the knees. Babies this age like to climb, they like to stoop and recover, they like to squat when they play. Baby is 18 to 24 months, a phase I like to call playground ready. Walking has turned to fast walking, has turned to running. Baby can now climb upstairs erect, holding onto the railing or a parent's hand. Between 18 and 20 months, the toddler will kick a ball. At 21 months, he'll throw a ball. At 24 months, he'll jump both feet off the floor. And by 24 months, they're alternating their arms when they move, and they've adopted more of a heel-to-toe mature gait pattern.
Okay, so what does walking lead to? Fast walking, running, climbing, and at 24 months, they already able to jump, kan? Makin aktif lah. Okay.
The majority of the major motor milestones have been acquired by 24 months. Now it's just a matter of refinement. It's important to remember that children progress through these milestones at their own pace and in their own way, and not to get too focused on any one particular age of attaining a milestone. We do have some guidelines, though, of things to bring to your pediatrician. By 4 months, if your baby has not attained head control, that would be something to discuss. By 9 months, if baby is not yet sitting. By 18 months, if baby is not yet walking independently. If at any point, baby has a regression or loss of previously attained skills. If you have any concern about your baby's development, do bring these concerns to your pediatrician. He or she will determine if your child needs more medical evaluation or would benefit from involvement with early intervention, or if the skills are being attained within the normal range of development.
Okay, so lastly, who do parents communicate with if they have concerns regarding the
Pediatrician, pakar kanak-kanak.
yes, pediatrician. So, itu sahaja untuk video ni. So far, lagi clear tak? Clear kan? Kita dah cover what are the reflexes, okay? How does it looks like, okay? And then what are the responses, what it functions for, and then this video pula kita tengok pula dari segi gross motor development of the babies, kan? Beginning from newborn, okay, from month 0 sehinggalah ke 2 tahun, kan? Okay. Kenapa 2 tahun? Sebab bila 2 tahun lebih sampai ke 4, dia ada another topik pula, kan? Toddler pula. Okay. Okay, so ini habis dah. Kita tengok sekarang pukul apa? 11.47. Okay, lambat lagi. Pukul 1. Okay, kita sambung dengan sensory pula. Okay, so sensory ataupun motor halus. Okay, motor halus, development of sensory motors. Okay, there are sub-stages, okay, of sensory motor development. Okay, kita boleh tengok di sini. Okay, there are berapa sub-stage dia? Ada 6. There are 6 sub-stages dan according to months lah. Okay, contohnya untuk for the sub-stage number 1, okay, ianya berlaku semasa 0 to 1 month of age. What does the baby accomplish? Okay, masa ni reflexes becomes coordinated. Okay, for example, the baby is already able to suck the nipple, kan, untuk feeding, kan. Okay, and then the second substage between 1 to 4 months of age, okay, primarily, okay, mereka ni akan learn to react to the world, okay. Okay, apa dah accomplishmentnya adalah primary secular reactions appear, whereby an infant will learn to react to the world. Okay, contohnya thumb sucking. Dia ada thumb, and then masa ni dalam between 1 to 4 tu dia dah boleh, kan, dia boleh hisap jari dia. Okay, thumb sucking. And then the third substage, okay, occurs between the age of 4 to 8 months. Okay, when secondary circular reactions emerge, which allows the infant to explore the world of objects. Okay, world of objects. Contohnya pada masa ni 4 hingga 8 bulan, mereka dah bila dia sentuh sesuatu barang, kan, dia dah boleh sentuh mainan lah katakan, kan, and then dia shake the toy to hear a rattle, kan. So sini adalah secondary circular reactions emerge. Okay, dia nak explore objek tu. Bila kita buat macam ni, kita shake, dia bunyi, kan. Kalau kita apa panggil, pull dekat lantai ke, dia bunyi lain, macam itulah. Okay, ni contohnya adalah shaking a toy to hear a rattle. Okay, and then the fourth one is between 8 to 12 months. Okay, yang mana apa yang berlaku masa ni adalah means and sequencing of schemes is seen. Okay, and this mark the onset of intentional behavior. Okay, example, moving an obstacle to reach a toy. Okay, kita boleh nampak perkembangan dia tu, kan, daripada kecil sehingga lagi apa panggil kompleks, kan, kebolehan dia. Okay, and then the fifth one, 12 to 18 months. Okay, at this point, the baby develop tertiary circular reactions, which allows them to experimenting. Okay, to experiment. Okay, contohnya they shake different toys to hear the sounds that the toys make. And then lastly, for the sixth punya stage adalah between 18 to 24 months. Okay, yang mana symbolic processing is revealed in language, in gestures, and pretend play. Okay, ni dah besar dah ni kan, hampir-hampir 2 tahun. Okay, so mereka dah boleh pretend, okay, boleh pretending. Contohnya pretend food with a pretend forks kan, kita bagi mainan, okay, mainan, ada fork, ada plate, okay, so diorang dah boleh, ada kebolehan untuk pretend ataupun memberikan languages, okay, gestures and pretend play lah. That is why bagi seseorang ibu tu, dia kena tahu the stages of development ni. Okay, contohnya kan, kalau seorang ibu tu dia nak beli, nak bagi, dia kena, untuk seseorang baby ni untuk develop kan, di samping kita tak boleh just tunggu dia develop macam tu kan, kita kena stimulate juga, betul tak? So untuk stimulate contohnya adalah kita bagi ataupun kita dapatkan, berikan mainan yang bertepatan dengan umur dia. Okay, contohnya pada umur 4 to 8 tadi kan. Kalau kita tak ada ni, kita just asyik dia nangis, kita dukung, kita tak expose dia kepada tak stimulate dia dengan benda-benda tu semua, kita tak tahu perkembangan anak kita, and then kita buat sesuatu yang tidak mengikut ni lah, maksudnya tidak membantu perkembangan dia kan. Okay, so rasanya setakat tu faham kan? Ni dari segi sensory motor development. Okay, jadi kalau saya jumpa, rasanya yang ni boleh ni lah kan, faham kot kan. Okay, so kalau dah okay yang tu, kita proceed to the next, which is how do we monitor whether our babies is growing healthily or not. Okay, so untuk monitoring growth development ni, okay, actually there is 3 indicators, okay, iaitu pertama adalah birth weight, okay, based on the birth weight, and then the length and head circumference lah. So averagely for Malaysian babies, okay, healthy full-term Malaysian babies averagely have this range of measurements of birth weight, length and head circumference. Okay, biasanya untuk ni 3 kg ke 3.5 kg, okay, dan ni lah seperti yang tertera ni lah, okay. Tapi sekiranya sebab ada babies yang maybe 2.8, okay, slightly less or slightly more than the average figures, this is not to worry, okay. But sekiranya memang ada problem, nanti the doctor tu akan bagi tahulah, okay. Tapi ni adalah average lah, average birth measurements adalah sekian ni lah, okay. Okay. So, apakah kepentingan, kenapa pentingnya kita untuk kita track the growth of the infancy as early as possible? Because it is a sign of health, okay? Yang mana bila dia sihat, bermaksud the babies will grow lah, kan? Okay? So, kalau berlaku sebaliknya, so it signs, macam dia reflects kepada kesihatan baby tersebut. Okay? Dan during it is penting untuk kita tahu, okay, which is during the first week or 2, okay, 1 to 2 weeks of life, the babies, infant, okay, newborn babies actually lose between 5 to 10% of their birth weight, okay, dalam seminggu ke 2 minggu pertama, okay. However, the newborns will double their birth weight by age 4 to 6 months. Masa ni dia akan meningkat lah, okay, will gradually increase, okay, dia punya weight dia, and by 1 year of age, their weight will triple, okay. Kenapa? Mungkin tanya kenapa between first and second life tu dia kenapa dia kehilangan ni kan, kenapa dia hilang kehilangan lose weight kan, kehilangan berat, okay, 5 to 10 tu, okay, sebab sebenarnya babies ni dia born with some extra fluid, okay, they were born with some extra fluids, so it is normal lah for them to lose weight tu, okay, due to the loss of fluids tu, okay. And then, as I mentioned before, okay, the growth ni dia reflects kepada nutritional adequacy, okay. Nutritional adequacy for infants bermaksudnya dari segi apa? Adakah mereka ni mendapat are they receiving enough feedings, kan, enough milk from their mothers, okay. Dan juga growth juga reflects dengan health status dan juga economic dan environmental lah, okay, of the family tu. Okay, so slight variations in growth rate can result from certain conditions, okay, seperti illness, okay, teething. Siapa tahu teething apa? Kalau semua senyap, maksudnya tahulah.
Tak tahu, doktor.
Tak tahu teething? Teething teeth. Okay, teething ni, bila kita bagi sesuatu, kan, perasan tak kalau dalam umur berapa mereka suka gigit-gigit tu? Gigit something. Kan, kalau toys ke dia teething, dia gigit tu. Sebab dia merasakan sesuatu, apa kan, sebab ada development dari segi gigi dia apa semua kan, nak keluar tak keluar lagi, okay, so ni ada teething, kita panggil teething. So masa ni biasanya kita bagilah dia kan, pernah tengok tak dia nak kata toys lah juga, toys yang ada air kat dalam dia tu kan,
Pernah.
ring tu, jenis yang ring tu macam mana, and then kita
Dia lembut.
So kenapa mainan dia tu macam tu? Sebab biasanya kita tak letak dekat freezer, kita letak dekat chiller ke, so that benda tu sejuk je. So dia boleh membantulah mengurangkan teething tu, dia rasa tak selesa dekat gigi dia, dekat mulut, dekat gigi dia lah, teething. Okay? And then inappropriate feeding position. So bila mana ada variation, maybe dari segi kurang berat ke, kan? Dari segi growth rate dia kurang, katakan tak meningkat berat kan. So doktor akan melihat kepada faktor-faktor ni lah. Ada illness ke kan? Adakah dia demam ke apa semua ke sebelum ni yang membawa kepada masalah tu kan? Ataupun teething ke, oh your baby ni tengah teething ni kan. Okay, that's why dia tak selesa, so makan pun jadi kurang kan. Okay, and then another factor will be there is a possibility that the feeding position is inappropriate. Okay, kita akan tengok nanti feeding position, dia ada feeding position. Okay, kalau bagi babies yang dah bersedia untuk, they are ready to feed, to be fed, okay, so kita akan tengok nanti dia kena setakat mana, macam mana kita nak letak dia tu, okay, sitting position dia tu, okay. So the next slide showing this figure, okay. Kita boleh tengok ni weight gain of infants in their first 5 years of life, okay. Tahu tadi kan, dalam 2 minggu, okay, 4 minggu, 1 ke 2 minggu, mereka maybe mengalami penurunan berat sikit, okay, dalam 5 to 10% kan, and then dia akan meningkat bermula daripada 1 tahun kan, okay, meningkat secara panggil gradually lah, okay. The first year, okay, within the first year, an infant's birth weight may triple, okay. However, over the following several years, the rate of weight gain gradually diminish. Kita tengok kat sini, bagi 1 tahun yang pertama, okay, memang triple. Okay, kita nampak very apa panggil? Sangat steep punya ni kan. Dia punya ni triple kan. And then lepas pada tu dia macam melandai balik, betul tak? Okay. So the rest of the rate of weight gain ni will gradually diminish following the several years. Okay. So what are the tools? Okay. Dia nak tahu juga apakah tools ataupun pengukuran, okay, assessment yang kita boleh gunakan untuk assess the growth ni. Okay. So biasanya doktor ataupun kalau kita bawa baby tu ke klinik lah untuk check up, okay, mereka akan gunakan calibrated scales lah. Okay. Pernah tengok tak calibrated scales untuk measure babies? Pernah tak? Ada siapa-siapa pernah tengok? Pernah? Okay. Okay, so dia ada apa? Recumbent length measurement board. Okay. Kita letak baby kat situ and then dia boleh kita letak flat kan. Okay. And then dia ada headpiece dia kan. Ada headpiece, so kita boleh tengok, kita boleh dapatkan berat dan juga at the same time kita dah boleh dapatkan dia punya panjang dia kan. Dan non-stretch tape will be used to measure the head circumference of the baby. Simple je kan. Recumbent length measurement board and then calibrated scale dan juga non-stretch tape. Okay. So equipment needed, okay, to measure children and adults are different. Okay. Different. Yang mana scale back, kita panggil scale back tu must be long enough to allow infant to lie down. Okay. And the length is measured with infants lying down with a head and foot at right angles to the firm surface. Kalau you all nak tengok gambar dia, search for ni lah, recumbent length measurement board ni. Okay. Nanti you all boleh tengok gambar dia. So ni adalah cara-caranya lah. Okay. Mula sekali kita kena ada ni and then length is measured dengan kita lie down kan infant tu. Okay. And then position the baby quickly and carefully. So we need skill lah. Okay. To accurately measure the recumbent length. And then in terms of the weighing, okay, clothing, hair ornaments, semua tu kena buang dulu. Including dia punya pampers pun kena buang. Masa nak measure tu. Okay. Kalau yang dah ada anak, dia boleh visualize lah benda ni. Ada yang dah ada anak tak ada? Okay. Okay, so clothing, hair ornaments, okay. Semua tu kena buang dulu and then baru kita weigh. Okay, because all these factors ataupun additionals punya ni clothing semua kan. Kalau anak perempuan tu pakai dengan macam-macam lah mak-mak sekarang kan. Bagi cantik lah baby tu. Okay, so kena buang semua untuk kita nak remove error lah to measurement. Okay, ni gambar dia. Infant being measured on a line board and scale. Okay, ni scale, yang bawah ni scale. Yang ni adalah line board tadi kan. Okay. So, bila kita dah dapat, kita dah record dia punya weight, dia punya length, dia punya head circumference kan. Okay. So, apa yang kita perlu buat? Kita nak tahu adakah perkembangan dia tu, okay, adalah sihat ataupun sebaliknya. Okay. So we can plot. Okay. We can assess the growth of infants and children by plotting their measurement on a percentile graph. Okay, ni adalah percentile graph. It's weight for each percentile. Okay. kita ada weight for each percentiles, for girls, for boys, dia ada different. Okay. And then kita ada juga seterusnya kita ada birth to 36 months juga. Okay. But ini adalah length for each. Okay. Length for each and weight for each. Yang ni dikombinekan sekali. Okay. Ini tadi satu je kan, weight for each. Yang ni dikombinekan sekali. Birth to 36 months for girls. Okay. And then kita boleh plotkan pengukuran kita tadi dalam ni, and then kita boleh tengok lah. Okay. Sama ada perkembangan mereka tu okay atau sebaliknya kan. Okay. So, how do we plot? Okay. Plot tu tahulah kan plot kan. Cumanya, how do we interpret? Okay, how do we interpret? Okay. Okay, so macam contohnya, contoh dia bagi kat sini adalah for 6 months old infant, okay, so dia punya perkembangan dia adalah berada di sini, okay, is at the 75th percentile, okay, so setiap kali kita bawa baby tu ke klinik, okay, untuk pengukuran, okay, untuk check up. Okay, the pediatrician will weigh, okay, setiap bulan, okay, dan dia sepatutnya follow the same percentile throughout the first year, okay. Yang mana if there is any dramatic changes or measures much above the 80th percentile or much below the 10th percentile, so there may be cause for concern. Ada sesuatu yang tak kena lah. Sekiranya dia lebih daripada 18th ataupun daripada 10th. Kalau kurang daripada 10 percentile ataupun lebih daripada 80 percentile. Okay, faham So kita kena ambil yang make sure that the doctor atau the pet tu akan akan make sure ataupun akan monitor, okay, the growth of the infant tu supaya ianya sentiasa berada tak lebih daripada 80 dan tak kurang daripada 10. Okay. 10 percentile.
Doktor, ni graf yang dalam buku pink atau buku biru tu
Dalam tu lah. Dia ada buku biru. Kan? Biru. Saya dah.
Buku laki pink perempuan.
Ya? Apa dia?
Lelaki buku biru, kalau perempuan buku pink lah, dia dua colour.
Ikut buku pink. Dia macam kalau ingat saya anak saya dulu lahir dekat kalau dekat USM buku pink lah. Tak silapnya. Sebab ada anak saya tu dia lahir lain. Warna biru. Tapi bendanya samalah dalam ni lah semua. Pasal all the growth kan. Dia akan doktor akan check lah. Akan monitor. So ni lah benda yang kita gunakan lah. Okay. Okay. So what is the desirable growth range? Okay. Untuk girls dan boys, dia punya growth range dia desirable. Growth range dia berbeza sikit lah. Okay. There will be a slight difference. Okay. Contohnya girls kalau 4 months, ni adalah weight range bagi healthy punya growth. Okay, 56.6 kg. Ni untuk length dia dan ini adalah untuk head circumference dia. Okay, so doktor akan tengok berdasarkan sebab tu dia ada setiap bulan kita kena bawa untuk check up kan. Okay, and then inilah yang akan doktor pastikan kalau masa tu sepatutnya dalam at 7 months tu anak kita kurang 5 poin lebih ke kan. So dia jot down on the plot dekat graph tu tengok. Kalau if the growth tu below 10%, so dia akan memerlukan inilah sesuatu, inilah mungkin doktor akan tanyalah, okey, rezeki makan dia susu berapa kali, kan? The feeding macam mana, okay ke tak, semualah. Okay. Dan juga dari segi yang tadi kan kita ada tiga faktor yang boleh mempengaruhi kan. Dari segi illness mungkin, okay. Dari segi feeding dia, mungkin cara feeding tak kena kan. Okay, so ni adalah desirable growth ranges lah. Okay. Dan, okay, seterusnya adalah kita akan tengok, we will discuss about the needs ataupun the nutritional requirements of infants. How much does the infant need? Okay. Dari segi kalori, okay. Yang mana kalau ikut dari segi kalori, mereka ni memerlukan 40 to 50 kilokalori, okay, per pound of body weight per day. Ditukarlah pound kepada kg. Okay. Berapa kg untuk 1 pound. Okay. And then in terms of distribution ataupun contribution of the calories tu, okay, 40 or 50% of calories should come from fat. Okay. No more than 20% of calories should come from protein. Okay. Sebab apa? Dia ada sebab-sebab dia, betul tak? Sebab kalau lebih daripada 20%, okay, maybe dia akan affect dari segi penyerapan ke satu, and then dia akan affect organs kan. Sebab babies ni dia dia masih lagi very young kan. So dia punya capability of the organs tu, contohnya kidney kan, pun hanya boleh boleh menanggung dari segi tu untuk protein tu adalah tak lebih daripada 20% lah. Okay. Okay, untuk protein kita tak boleh bagi protein, high protein ke apa semua kepada ni, tak boleh, bahaya. And then high need for iron, vitamin D, zinc, fluoride, B12, okay. And terutama sekali adalah untuk infants which are breastfed by vegans punya mothers. Okay. Sebab vegans dia kan tidak mengambil makanan yang animal punya base kan. Okay. So itu akan mempengaruhi lah dari segi iron, okay, vitamin D, dari segi B12 dia mungkin kurang. Okay. And then fluids, 2 ounce of fluid per pound of body weight. Then it is recommended for every infant to be breastfed for the first 6 months, okay, secara eksklusif kan. Eksklusif means kita tak campur dengan benda lain. Okay, hanya breast milk sahaja. Dan WHO recommends for at least first 2 years, okay, we need to give breast milk to the infants. Okay, untuk disusukan selama 2 tahun. Itu adalah yang terbaik lah. Okay. However, beginning age of 4 to 6, okay, bila dia mencapai umur 4 ke 6 bulan, okay, so we need to supplement the breast milk or the formula milk. Maybe some dia tak bagi breast milk, dia bagi formula milk kan. It doesn't matter, but at this point of age, okay, when they achieve 4 months of age, kita kena supplement with solid food. Okay. Kenapa kita kena mula? Sebab ada beberapa jurang tenaga. Okay. Dia berkait dengan bila mana kan daripada kelahiran kan, daripada 0 months sehinggalah ke 4 months. Katakan infant tu memang was breastfed, fully breastfed, okay, exclusively breastfed. However, at the age of 4, okay, there will be kita panggil jurang tenaga, and also jurang dari segi, jurang ni beza lah. Maksudnya beza ni kalori yang diberikan atau yang terkandung daripada breast milk sahaja tidak mencukupi. Itu maksudnya ada jurang tenaga. dia perlu tambahan dengan makanan yang lain. Okay? Begitu juga dengan beberapa nutrient. Okay? Sebagai contoh iron. Okay? Iron, vitamin A, yang tu ada jurang tenaga yang mana memerlukan kita suplemen with solid food. Okay. So dari segi feeding, kita ada juga yang memberikan infant formula kan. Okay. So women who breastfeed can wean her infant by passing the milk for infant formula to cow's milk. Maybe disebabkan sebab-sebab yang tertentu lah. Okay. Kalau seboleh-bolehnya, okay, it is recommended for the mother to continue breastfeeding, okay, sehingga 2 tahun lah tadi kan. Mungkin ada yang bekerja, mungkin memang dia tak boleh sebab tak boleh nak meneruskan. So apa yang dia boleh buat adalah dia teruskan dengan infant formula lah. Nak buat macam mana kan. Tapi itu yang adalah alternatif lah kalau tak boleh. Okay, tak boleh continue with breastfeeding. Okay, so if they are going to substitute, okay, formula for breastfeeding, but they must follow appropriate formula, okay, and learn to prepare it. Okay, sebab infant formula composition ni, it is formulated to copy. Okay, they try to copy the nutrient of breast milk as close as possible, but of course lah tak sama. Okay, so antaranya adalah iron fortified infant formula kan. Kita ada banyak jenis-jenis infant formula. Okay, tapi apakah infant formula ni, kita tahulah dia hanya wants to copy lah kan. It is formulated to copy nutrient of breast milk. Okay, so there is a risk lah. Okay, risk for those yang diberikan formula feeding. Yang mana apa yang tak ada dalam infant formula ni. Okay, it does not contain protective antibodies. Okay, and the formula can be prepared safely by following the rules of proper food handling and using water free from contamination. Okay, so satunya tak ada antibodies kan. Kalau breast milk memang dah ada antibodies dalam dia. Okay, and then other risk will be dari segi food handling lah, and then the risk of contamination kan. Yang mana contaminated formula tu akan menyebabkan infection, akan lead to diarrhea, dehydration dan malabsorption. Okay, dan ni biasa mungkin setengah-setengah lah for those maybe yang daripada sosioekonomi yang lebih rendah kan, low sosioeconomic punya mothers from low sosioeconomy. Okay, so maybe they try to over dilute, okay, to save money. Actually it is not tidak bagus lah. Okay, tak bagus lah macam tu. Memang kalau nak tukar ke infant formula, dia kena ni lah antara benda yang kita, ini adalah risikonya. So apa yang boleh dibuat adalah kena ensure that dia ada contamination kan, use water yang free contamination, pay attention into food handling kan, proper food handling apa semua. And then inilah yang last sekali adalah jika seorang ibu tu dia nak jimatkan duit kan, nak jimat duit, so dia dilute lah. Sepatutnya dekat tin ke dekat packaging formula tu dia dah bagi tahu dah kan, untuk this particular age, contohnya 1 hingga 2 bulan ke, okay, berapa kali feeding, okay, and then untuk satu feeding tu berapa meal untuk berapa scoop. So memang kena ikut. Okay, kalau tak ikut tu yang dia jadi macam, saya dah mungkin bila pergi klinik, okay, tak ada peningkatan berat badan, baby dia tak ada peningkatan berat, and then bila doktor tanyalah, you bagi susu, bagi kan, and then tapi dia kata, cik ada, cik ada, entah. Ada kelah? Masuk ya? Okay. Sorry interruption. Okay, so itulah kan. So ni kita kena pay attention lah. Okay. And then another type of formula adalah special formula kan. Special formula. So special formula ni digunakan bila mana standard cow's milk formula tu is inappropriate, okay, for some infants. Okay, contohnya ada yang allergic to milk protein, okay, so they need to drink special hypoallergenic formula ataupun formula based on soy protein. But all this decision whether to use which form of formula, okay, kita kena the mothers kena dapatkan nasihat daripada doktor ataupun pakar pemakanan lah, okay. Dan special formula ni kan ada yang soy protein, kalau tak silap jenis brand dia ada, saya ingat apa dia, tapi boleh cari balik lah yang soy protein punya. Dia bukannya daripada milk protein daripada cows, no. Dia buat tu daripada susu soya, okay. And dia juga menggunakan cornstarch and sucrose instead of lactose, okay. Because some of the babies tu maybe experience lactose intolerance, okay. But again, lactose intolerance ke apa ke semua, kita memerlukan recommendation tu comes from the health professionals lah, bukannya sendiri-sendiri tak boleh, okay. So it is also recommended for lactose intolerance kan tadi, as well as milk-based formula for vegan families. Okay. The caregiver should not give any product that are not designed for infant as they are nutritionally incomplete. Okay. Maybe ada yang bagi susu cair lah kan, susu apa tu, susu pekat lah, macam-macam kan. Bila you all berada di community, you all akan tengok macam-macam case kan. And ni goat's milk, okay. Goat's milk is inappropriate for infants. Why? Because it is low in folate. Kita tengok sekarang kan trend, kadang tu bila dekat social media ke apa semua, kita tak boleh nak benda tu terlalu social media ni terlalu cepat sangat kan. And then dia punya engagement tu very, yelah, people was to engage kepada social media ni sampai tak tahu apa yang betul, apa yang salah. Okay, so it is our responsibility lah yang tahu ni, kena bagi tahulah. Oh kan, pernah tak tengok apa orang kata bagus minum susu kambing kan. Tapi actually the goat's milk tu dia tidak bagus. Yang bagusnya adalah for the babies, for human babies is breast milk lah, yang tu number one, okay. And then dari segi composition of the nutrients pun goat's milk ni dia low in folate, okay. So dia boleh leads to goat's milk anemia, boleh menjadikan anemia kalau dia guna goat's milk untuk baby dia.